What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Mehl's Mountain Garage. I haven't posted a video in a handful of weeks, so I'm going to make another one. This time around, I'm going to do a kind of instructional video. I got some really good feedback on the 2007 HHR cooling fan, troubleshooting and replacement, and on my Cub Cadet lawn tractor, lawn mower, ride mower, whatever you choose to call it. So I'm going to do another one. But this time around, I'm going to be working on my 2002 Cub Cadet DS. It's a gas golf cart. And I'm going to replace the generator and the voltage regulator. I know already that the voltage regulator is bad, and I know already that the starter function of the starter generator is failing. But I'm going to go through and try and hit a little bit of troubleshooting for you. This way you can kind of follow along if you have one. It might help you make a good decision on what you need to buy. I took a picture of a good troubleshooting chart procedure to use for these. I think they're good from like somewhere in the 90s, damn near up to current times. They haven't really changed much. Maybe the motor's changed a little bit, but I'm pretty sure the generators are the same. It's the same part number for a good 20 years. So I'll pop it up here on a screen. You can see it. I'll leave it up there for 5 seconds or so. Screenshot it, save it, use it for your own troubleshooting and down the line. So with that being said, if you haven't already subscribe, maybe hit the like, leave me some comments at the end of the video, and tell me what you think. So let's press on. Well, here is my golf cart. Well, family's golf cart, my dad's golf cart. He actually purchased it. It is a 2002 Clubcar DS. Don't know how many hours are on it, don't know how many miles are on it. I know it leaks a little bit of oil, but runs good. I have replaced the torque converter belt already, but that's about it. Trying to find the number. There you go. So you can see down there the Alpha Golf 02. That 02 denotes the last two digits of the year. So this is an 02. So if you don't know what year yours is, that's how you tell. It's got a two-piece windshield, nice roof, got a little cargo rack with a seat and a step going on. We put a little bracket to tow lawn trailers. It's got nice little turbine wheel hubcaps. We put a light bar on it, an LED light bar, and some tail lights. I eventually would like to get the headlight turn signal kit for it. I'm sure you've seen them. They're available on Amazon, eBay for around $100. The upholstery's not terrible. It's got some cigarette burns, but all it's good. So what we'll do here is, I think this is a Yamaha motor engine. I don't know, it could be something else. I'll put it up in a screenshot. I've already got like a big giant car battery in it. It's a big giant die-hard. I got the battery box spaced up so it fits. And I currently have the voltage regulator disconnected because it was overcharging 15, 16 volts and cooking the battery. So I'll set my phone up here on a tripod and I'll get to it. All right, using my Fluke. Got a 77.3 meter. Right now the battery's showing 13.34 volts. Now, we've recently charged it up to run around, so we're not going to show any charging voltage. I'll fire it up here. You can kind of see it's 13.2, and it's not rising. If I hook the voltage regulator up to it, see if I can set that down there, catch it at the bottom of the screen. All right, there you go. Oh, see it? Just went up to 16 volts. So you definitely don't want it that high, because when you're cruising around, it's definitely going to cook the battery, which is what was happening here. I was getting a really wicked, awful, rotten egg smell. So let's swap out that voltage regulator. looking at this troubleshooting chart, it tells you to disconnect the small yellow wire, which I did. Take a jumper, connect it to negative, which I did, run the cart, press the accelerator, start the engine, and run a full speed, check voltage. If you have over 15 volts, then your voltage regulator is bad, which I also did. We did a nice, good battery. If it's 14 volt not steadily rising, then your regulator, starter is bad, or generator is bad. My fault. But running through this, like I said, I posted a photo up in earlier. If you haven't screenshot it, go on ahead and screenshot this. But going through the troubleshooting chart, I proved the voltage regulator is bad. See, I just took my voltmeter, jammed it in at positive and negative terminals. And then down here in a box, I already took the lid off. There's the starter solenoid. There's our little fuse panel, which this only uses one fuse, just for one thing. And this is the voltage regulator. It was jammed down in that hole, screwed down, and I already removed it. It has a positive wire there. This wire here, we hook up to excite, charge the generator, and then we've got 2 grounds. My replacement is right here. It's from Amazon. Unfortunately not made in the USA, but this is what I was able to get. We'll slap that in there. It's pretty easy. There's a blade terminal, female, a ring terminal to go to the starter solenoid, though I don't think that ring is big enough. And then this little bullet connector and another ground ring terminal, which will ground to the frame rail. My replacement generator is also right here. Do yourself a favor, if you haven't messed with it, take your phone and take pictures. There are quite a few wires on the generator, though not terribly difficult, but if you're doing it right, like out of the woods with no schematic, no wiring diagram, then you can certainly hook everything up incorrectly and probably fry your freaking $160 generator in your $30 voltage regulator. All right, first things first. Disconnect your battery. Should be able to get everything you need to do with a nice little socket set. I'm using a little 1/4-inch drive. I have my battery terminals converted to a top post with like car leads. Your models may vary. You may have a small battery that's got like nuts and bolt posts or something like that. So just disconnect your battery. Make sure it's disconnected. Definitely don't want to fry anything. Alright, I'll move the intake pipe, or the intake hose, intake duct. Come on. Maybe I won't. That's only so you guys can see. Alright, pulled the regulator out. Got 1 ground wire here. It came out of the connector off of the micro switch. Pulled the yellow wire off the banana connector in a wire harness. This wire runs to the generator. There's a ground wire that runs to the frame. We'll disconnect that. There's only 4 wires, 2 of them are ground. There's 3 coming off the regulator, but there's 4 wires total. If you can see, it's teed in there. And I just got to take this wire off of the starter solenoid. The old voltage regulator is removed. As you can see, there is a much larger ring terminal on a solenoid side than what I have. So I will replace that terminal. And there is also a much larger terminal haphazardly spliced to a piece of wire with another terminal on it. I'm just going to cut this terminal off the replacement and put another one. Again, if you're just kind of doing this and you don't have ring terminals or crimpers at home, this might be something to think about. So I'm just going to swap those terminals out with ones with a large enough hole and install it. Got some pretty great ratcheting crimpers. can certainly do the job with your typical water stripper scrimpers. So I've got these guys, and I prefer to use these guys on all of my crimps. Terminals that I use are heat shrink, so I'll go get my heat gun or my torch, whatever I can find right now in my shop, and shrink those up. Keep them weather tight. Use my heat gun. You can see the heat shrink, or I'm trying to. Sorry if it gets blurry. Got these all done up. Larger connectors to match the old ones and to match the hardware that I have on mine. Yours may change. Yours may be different. So let's go with this. Said before, that voltage regulator kind of sat down in here. Set yourself up in such a way so the wires aren't too long or short for what you're trying to do. I will place mine under the terminal. Yeah, solenoid post rather, not the battery terminal. Gives us our positive. Snug it up, don't kill it, don't strip the doggone stud out. Don't twist yourself all up. This guy here will be for the, this will go to the generator. Be sure you get it in there. And I'll push that shrink up. This wire runs out and attaches to this bolt, which is a ground bolt for the cart. So take two. Since I decided it was a good idea to crimp the wrong size flipping connector on there for the ground, we'll do this again. You should have taken photos of what you did, so put everything how you found it. But they are color coded, so the red will go to the not battery side of the starter solenoid. There'll be 4 posts on here, 2 big ones, 2 small ones. We're going to go on a side that's the big one that doesn't go to the battery, because we don't want this having battery power to it when the key's off. The yellow will go to the yellow wire that was on here. It's a bullet connector. We'll have one ground. It'll go to the micro switch here, which hooks up to the gear shift linkage. This other ground will go to the ground point on the frame. We'll get those in. 4 connections. Pretty simple. Nothing too crazy. I have this ground wire goes to the battery on the other side. So one side of the frame rail has the battery cable and bolt going to it, the battery cable with the bolt going through the frame, and then on the other side of the same bolt is the ground wire to the voltage regulator. And for the, who the heck knows, starter solenoid, or I don't know, actually don't know where the other one goes. I'd be lying if I told you. That takes care of those connections, and they're not terribly difficult for the voltage regulator. There is a bolt that goes through the center of the voltage regulator. It's not grounding or anything, it's just there to hold it down, keep it from flopping around, doing any kinds of weird stuff. Got the wrong size. Just sink that guy home to keep it tight. So there is our voltage regulator connections done. And I'll remove the seat back here so I can get to the generator, and we'll swap the generator out. For your viewing pleasure, I blew off all the dust with my blower to make it a little bit easier. I removed the seat back. Your mileage may vary. You might have different seats. Mine had 2 bolts right here, 2 bolts right there, and I had a bolt on the back that held the rear seat back and the back of the front seat together, if you follow. I've removed the plastic cover from the back of the body. It's a slip fit here, and there's 2 bolts back there, and there's only but a couple of wires here. We've got that yellow one. That yellow wire runs to the voltage regulator that we just installed. That white wire goes to the same post of the starter solenoid that we just removed to put the voltage regulator on. Then there is a ground wire on the back of the generator, and I think there's a little wire on the bottom of the generator also. So we'll remove those wires. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get really good video. You can kind of see the generator right there. There's a bolt for the pivot. I think it's 13 millimeter. There's one over there also for the pivot. And there's another 13 mil, I suppose, for the swing that goes on this bracket right here. You can see the slot that it would slide on for belt adjustment. So again, take photos. Do your best. If your go-karts or golf carts lifted, this will be way easier. This is stock height. So I'll pull that generator off and replace it. A couple of pivot bolts, the strap bolt, got the wires, wires off, and this generator will come out just through here, but just the right way. You just gotta finagle it. Once it's out, you can see there are 3 wires here. This one runs to the starter solenoid. This guy here goes to the regulator. That wire on the bottom is a ground that is jumped to the back of the generator, and then that post there is the ground to the chassis. So again, make sure you take photos and know where you're going. This is a OE club car starter generator. While it still generates, it doesn't start so well anymore. So we're going to put this replacement unit on there, probably made in frickin' China. So I'll hold on to that guy because it still starts it sometimes, but it'll start it every 2 or 3 times, and once it gets hot, it stops starting it. And that's not unlike like when you have a starter on a small block Chevy with headers. It gets hot and it just doesn't want to start. So that's kind of what it was doing. So I'll swap that ground wire on the back, that green wire, put it on this guy, blast it in there. Hopefully you screenshotted the schematic that I'd posted. But as you can see, looking at the rear of the generator, coming from A2, I think that's A2, I can't see really good that more, and it jumps up to this post here, and that's a 18 gauge jumper wire. If we line this up, you can see the replacement's painted green, so that is definitely ground. That's a really good indication, but A2 is cast into the back. That one is A1, and we are jumping up to F1. And looking at this guy here, you can see F1, but it has F2 in quotes. I don't know why, but it's F1. And this guy's F2. Oh, so it has A2. So maybe it's stamped something different. Anyway, that jumper wire is run how we need it. So I'm going to go on ahead and mount our pivot bolts. That is our adjustment bolt that goes in the shaft with the belt, and hook the wires up and check it out, and we'll test it out. Be careful of your posts when you're jamming that guy in there. You want to go ahead and get your pivot bolts. make sure your pulley gets lined up and you get the bolts and the nuts, you know, the generator on the right the right side of the bracket. Also make sure you have yourself a magnet handy for when you drop crap like I do. But you'll understand if you don't have the generator ears on the correct side of the mounting bracket, your belt pulley will not be lined up. So ensure that you have that guy lined up. And what I like to do is take the bolt in the adjustment on the adjustment slot, and before putting the belt on, get the bolt, the nut, the washer, and kind of get it close. This way here, you can just kind of slide it down. I don't know how well you can see it in the video, but you can slide it down and get the belt over it without too much fuss. I think, what size is my shit? This particular golf cart is 9/16. 9/16 wrench here. I have a ratchet here somewhere. There is just enough room with the cover off to do all this. These guys certainly didn't fart around with clearances and everything that they wanted to do. Take your time, be patient. It's easy to swap out. I don't normally put a whole lot of tension on. You have to be careful when you're adjusting the tension on any belt and any motor that it's not too tight. And you might want to, but there used to be some sort of thing where you wanted a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch of deflection or something like that on belts, especially on vehicles. The whole reason for that is to not put too much stress on the bearings of your generator or alternator or whatever. So make it pretty tight. If it slips or squeals, you can tighten it back up again. I have it pretty tight, but it's not ridiculous. So don't go crazy. You're just asking to burn bearings out of a probably freaking Chinese motor and Chinese bearings. So it's in. Stab the negative cable back on. In my case, I have a top post set up, modified for this, because I'm using the vehicle battery and not a like a golf cart battery or a small battery. I wanted a much larger battery because I have lights and all kinds of other stuff on it. Let's get our fluke meter hooked back up. Put it in DC mode. Positive to positive, negative to negative. My fluke is showing 13.3 volts. That's what they call a surface charge on a battery. Fire it up. Oh wait, I probably should put my intake pipe on it. Might not run good. All right, if you're like me, you think scripted TV sucks, right? I mean, a lot of car shows that are out there and are on television, they introduce extra shit, right? I don't like that. So anyhow, with this, so what you guys just saw, and I cut to the end because it wasn't starting. So here, I didn't do what I said. I didn't take a photo, and I put the jumper wire from A2 to that post. And I don't remember taking it off of there. I thought I had it on A1 right there to that post. Well, on the very top of the instructions, 2-cycle motors will turn clockwise and counterclockwise. 4-cycle motors will spin whatever direction the manufacturer chooses. So I inadvertently, not taking a photo because I was too busy actually recording, and moved the jumper from A1 to A2, and in doing so, when starting it, it spun the engine backwards and it wouldn't start, and that's what you guys just saw. So I flipped them because I thought, okay, I must have flipped them the other way. Now it starts. It's running. Got 13.2 volts. I'll step on a brake, see if I can heel toe it here a little bit. There you go. Go. So 14.5 volts. You guys can kind of see it didn't take me terribly long. Using the sheet, and again, I'll post it at the end of the video. You really do need a voltmeter to do it. You can kind of see the wires are pretty self-explanatory, and I did point them out. You should have a jumper wire to go through the instructions and jump it. The voltage regulator, if I can get the part number that I got off of Amazon for it, I'll post that up there. The generator, I post that up there. But the generator, I believe, was about 180 bucks or so. And the voltage regulator was probably 20 bucks. With COVID and everything else, how it is, it took like a week to get here, though they said they were going to deliver it the next day. Nonetheless, the golf cart is fixed. It didn't charge. It's not an electric one. I don't mess with electric ones, but you know, when you're driving around and you have, you know, 15 and a half acres of land and the golf cart battery dies, you kind of get pissed off. So this was, again, like my other ones, it was quasi-instructional. It wasn't meant to be Chris fix it or nothing, but just kind of follow me along and see what's what. You get one of these guys and they aren't charging, use the sheet, you get a voltmeter, get a test lead, basic hand tools. Nothing, you know, nothing crazy, and you're gonna have it fixed. And honestly, it probably took me longer to film it and delete it and cut it than it did to do it. So try and check out my other videos. Please leave me some feedback. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the unlike. Like, I don't care. Follow me on Instagram at Mehl's Mountain Garage because I post crap daily. I've got another club car here. I think that's a 98. That belongs to a family member, and we've been farting with that. Going to get that sorted out. Got a dingo go-kart here, and I got a hot rods. I mean, I work on everything. So, again, thanks for checking out Mehl's Mountain Garage, and we'll see you next time.